Okay, so most of the, what this slide is about is that, toileting a child, and especially a lot of you are saying you have children who aren't good communicators, like it's a time of anxiety for the parents, for the children. It's not easy. Some of you have children who may have some sensory system differences, so they may not be feeling like their bladder is full or their bowel is full. And really what we're really wanting to do is just kind of take that pressure off of you and let you know that we're here to support you. If you find that your service coordinator or teacher doesn't have the experience, you can have them reach out to Jen or I. Most everyone at EP knows Jen. I think most people at EC Cares know myself. And so I do think that, we were here to help it be a positive, healthy experience for you and your child. And it is going to be potentially a little different than the neurotypical average child, right? So it is going to be a little different. And one of the things that I think is hardest for parents is that when people like compare and say, oh, my kid potty trained when they were, or, I had my child potty trained when they were 2, and like, she does it perfectly. Every child, every person develops these skills at their own rate. And we just want you to know that it's like, don't feel that pressure. Don't take that on. It's not a stress worth having. And it's not going to be helpful in the process, because when we get stressed as adults, our kids pick up those cues from us. So we just want to have it be something that's more relaxed, more easygoing, but at the same time, be thoughtful about what we're doing. Next slide, Jen.
So, and in that, just thinking of how you can keep things kind of chill and relaxed for everybody. There's some steps that you want to know, is your kiddo able to do these things? Do they know when they're wet and dry, and can they communicate that in any way? Even, with you just saying wet and then giving you the yes, or dry. Some kids have anxiety just about going into the bathroom. That can happen a lot of times for kids. So just, starting to move those diaper changes into the bathroom can be helpful. Get them used to being in the bathroom and being near the toilet, and talking about it. So again, they're not anxious when they have to go in there. Models are great. We're great models for our kids. So them watching us peeing in the toilet is great, both men and women. So your kids are seeing, if a boy is seeing dad, it really clicks. It makes more sense when they're able to see that. We'll share a little bit more later in this presentation, but there's, read, talk, watch. There's lots of apps you can pull up about potty training. There's songs. We know kids love songs. There's lots of videos that we found with some of the favorite, characters that kids really enjoy watching and singing along to. There's some books also and reading materials that we have that we'll share with you later on also. And then just, again, getting comfortable and familiar with the toilet. If you can get your child to just sit on the toilet and start making it enjoyable instead of scary, it will make that next step so much easier for them.
So that, again, we hope that you try some of those things, but sometimes they don't work, right? But the main thing here in the beginning is pretending to have your child play with a doll and go potty. Maybe they watch the animals go potty, having stuffies. And so there are toys out on the market that you can get where the toilets flush or the baby pees like liquid through the diaper type of thing. So start thinking about ways that you can play with your child at home related to potty. And with that in mind, one of the things that kids really do these days is they watch YouTube videos. And so there are YouTube videos on modeling going potty and having kids go potty. And so try something like that. They might enjoy watching that, and then we'll model from the video. So it's called video modeling, but there are some videos out there about that. So.
All right, so you think you're ready? It's time to do it. So there's a checklist. Can your kiddo stay dry for 1 to 2 hours at a time? Are they able to help or undress themselves? Do they start to hide when they have to go to the bathroom? Are they taken off and hiding in a corner and you know what's going on? Are they comfortable in the bathroom and on the toilet? Can they sit on the toilet without feeling that stress and anxiety? All of these things, help just ease and keep that comfort level down. So if your kiddo's ready for this, it looks like they're ready for potty training.
And I'm going to go ahead and just add to that slide for a minute, Jen, is one of the things that I don't want you to worry about is, so say if you have a child who doesn't pull down their pants yet, like, don't worry about that. We're going to talk about in this presentation about how you may pick certain steps to work on and focus with your child. So just be aware that if your child doesn't do some of those, it's okay. And we'll just kind of adapt and modify it a little bit. So we'll be talking about those. But when we're getting ready to potty train, like one of the things I always want to make sure parents think about is, are they ready? Because this is going to be, I hate to say it, it's going to be work. Like, you've got to really, the parents who that really are planful and thoughtful about what they have and how they're going to do it, like what they have prepared for materials to do it, it goes so much smoother. So if your child isn't comfortable on the toilet yet, then that's not going to be your focus. Your focus may be even coming in and being comfortable in the bathroom. So, but getting comfortable on the toilet is a nice goal to have. Footstool. So we want kids to be really comfortable. So if they're sitting on your toilet at home, one of the things that happens is they're adult-sized toilets and their feet dangle, their bottom kind of slips down into the seat, that type of thing. So we want to encourage you to think about if they're on a regular toilet at home, to have something for their feet for stability. It'll just help them feel more comfortable. And if you can find like a seat, we'll show you some pictures of a seat where the little bottom doesn't fall through the hole, like to touch the water, that would also help. And if you have like a really low potty seat, a lot of parents get potty chairs at home, like they bring them out to the living room, or maybe they're out in the hallway by the bathroom. But if they're really low and the kids' needs are up too high, they're not going to be comfortable. So we're looking for like a 90-degree angle. Like, so when they're sitting on the potty seat, we would like optimally that they have like a 90-degree angle from the trunk of their body to their legs going out, and that their feet have support. Like that's optimal for our kids. This may sound odd, but some kids actually like having handles. So there are some toilet seats we're going to show you that have little handles that kids like to hold on to. So for some kids that might be helpful, or say if you have a child with a motor delay or like cerebral palsy or something, they might need something like that to actually balance. This may sound odd, but the temperature of the room can play a really big part of this. If the room doesn't have heat in it and it's chilly, if the kid's going to be cold and may not be as comfortable, you also don't want them like in a steamy room where it's really hot. So think about the temperature, and some kids that impacts more than others. It really varies, but you know your kids and if it will. We're going to talk about a potty box some more, but Jen and I both love potty boxes. I would have a box of favorite relaxing sensory toys. So things they can squish, pop tubes. It could even be like toys that spin or bubbles. It could be books if your child likes books, but have a box of toys that'll help keep them on the potty. So you want to get all that gathered ahead of time, and then they don't have access to those toys at other times during the day. They're special toys just for the bathroom. We're going to talk about some visual supports that you can request from us and have them ready if you want them. Those will be really important, particularly for kids who are not yet verbal. So the kids who aren't verbal yet, think visuals, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And have all your, like your clean diaper, your wipes and all that stuff ready. Go ahead, Jen.
So this just goes back to what Florine was talking about a little while ago, is that there's a lot of different steps, and your kid, might be at the step where we're just working on walking into the bathroom and feeling comfortable walking in there. So you have to everybody's going to be a little bit different. Every child's going to be different at where they are. And these are kind of just the basic ones. You want to make sure your child can walk into the bathroom and feel calm and feel safe. Start changing diapers in the bathroom. Maybe that's the first step that you're working on. It might be that you're helping them to learn how to get their pants down and their diapers off. Some kids are ready for actually sitting on the potty. And also this can vary in how long they sit. So some kids, you might get them to pop on the toilet for 5 seconds and then they're off. And other kids, you're working to keep them there a little bit longer, and they're able to do that. Your child might be actually peeing in the potty, which we've heard from some of you, which is great. Being able to wipe themselves could be the next step. And then working on standing up and pulling pants and up and helping with those, like pull-ups if they're in pull-ups, and then washing hands off afterward. So your child might be somewhere in the middle of this, might be at the beginning, and might be more towards the end, but you just have to, kind of think about where you're at and how you can best support them at where they're at.
Is it okay if I add something, Jen?
Yeah.
So the thing I would add to this, nobody mentioned this when you were doing introductions, but there are children who motorically really can't pull down their pants. They don't have the strength or the motor ability to do that, or maybe the balance to do that. So that shouldn't be a hindrance. If there are parts of this that you need to help them with and do for them, then that's fine. What we're looking for is if they so for example, if a child, you've taught your child how to pull down their pants, then the hope is that every time they go in the bathroom that they'll pull down their pants, and you won't help with that. But you might help them turn and sit and help them sit on the potty. So you can still help your child through, different steps of this, if you will, but you don't want to prompt them to do steps that they can do on their own. But there may be kids who really do need a lot of support physically, and that's okay too. You can still potty train, become potty trained if you need physical support. So these, is it my turn? Yeah, I think it is. Stop me if I'm not, Jen. So these are the potty seats. I wanted to talk about them because I like these better than the ones on the floor. And a lot of families buy the ones on the floor. And the reason I don't like them is the kids aren't at that 90-degree angle, right? They're not sitting with their hips at a 90-degree with their knees. And you really want that comfort. If their legs are too far out in front, or they're dangling, or their knees are up to their chin, it's not going to be a comfortable position to urinate or release the bowels. And so I actually prefer real toilets to those. But if you can get one that fits your child, that's a thumbs up. The one on the top left with the seat that lifts up, you can buy those like at Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Jerry's, that kind of stuff. You would just take off your seat and then you put this other seat on, and it has an insert. It's not an insert, it's actually attached so that their bottom, you can see it has a little seat on top of the adult seat. So those work really well for some families. The next one in the middle, top middle, is really soft and cushioned. What's nice on that one and on the one next to it is they have the urinal cup. If you have a boy, that'll be helpful. If you have a girl, it won't make any difference if you have the urinal cup or not. But the one on the far right top has handles. And again, some kids like handles, so that can be helpful. My favorite potty, if you were to ask me what I would recommend for you to buy, it's this one here, bottom left, with the blue bars going up and the green step stool and the orange seat. they sometimes come just in all white or other colors, but it's really ideal because it can fold up and collapse, so it can go next to your toilet at home. It has a potty seat that is comfortable for the children. It has the footrest, it has the hand rest. So if you asked me what to go for, it would be the bottom left picture that I would suggest that you get. I just think that they're really handy. Jen, do you have those in your classrooms?
Yeah, most of the ones that we use are that bottom left.
Okay.
They are just really nice for all of the purposes, the stool, the handles, boys and girls. It's got the little cup.
Yeah,
So
so they're
nice.
good. Yeah. And then the one in the middle on the bottom kind of shows you what the top left one looks like. And then this other one here is just a seat, and then it has a stool to go with it. What's nice on this one is it has the back on the bottom right. It has a little back support. So if you have a child who's lower muscle tone or like more floppy, I don't mean that in a negative sense, but like, just doesn't sit upright really firmly, something with a little back might be helpful. But overall, I would say the most popular one is the bottom left with the little step stool and the hand railing. And you can order them on Amazon. You can get them, like I've seen them at Target, Walmart, that type of place. They're all over.
And they're fairly inexpensive also.
Yeah, yes. Oh, and I should say this, EC Cares does have some. So sometimes we have them. If we get them back, just so you know, we sterilize them, but often when we loan them out, they tend to go out for a longer time. But we do have some that we loan families, and I don't know what we have in right now. We also have actually a lot of these. We have the one that I mentioned you can buy at Jerry's or Home Depot or Walmart and stuff, the one that has where you take off your toilet seat and put on this one, the top left one. And we have some of the foam, like smaller ones too. So we do have these kind of things we can loan families also.
Which is nice to be able to try different seats before you make your own purchase, because it can vary on what kids' preferences are.
Any questions about seats, you guys?
Allie has a question in the chat.
Okay.
She says, we have one and my daughter hates it. Could it be donated to EC?
Yes, you have one of the ones with the steps, Allie?
She hates it. Like,
wow.
She
Okay.
yells at me when I pull it out.
Do you think it's like she knows what it means, like it represents something to her?
It's possible. She's absolutely fascinated with we got her one of the little floor ones when she was really little, and she's fascinated with that. She knows what it is, and she's not mad at that one, and she's not opposed to sitting on the toilet. She just really does not like.
She doesn't like, yeah. So if it doesn't work, like, I'm really glad you brought that up, Allie, because like one thing doesn't work for everybody, you guys. Like, so that's why we have a variety. And yes, if you want to donate one, Allie, we would take it. You can give it, you said Megan, you can give it to Megan and she would log it into our system. So that would work out well. Thank you so much. And, you can have Megan's in the office next to me. And so if you want to have her talk to me about different potty seats or something, I'm happy to talk to her.
Where we have another comment in the chat.
Okay.
Jesse says, I just bought one for my son, like the bottom left. He's 5, hadn't been wanting to potty train, and it's the only seat he got motivated with.
Oh, good. Good. So see, you never know. You never know. I just like it for the stability of it. It can collapse and go next to it. Like it's easy. I'm glad that worked for you.
Yeah, you don't have to look for the stool or anything else. It's all in one piece, I think is why I also like it.
Hey, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm going to back up a second. Allie, you mentioned making a donation of the potty. We actually do tax write-offs because EC Cares is a nonprofit, and so is ZEP. So you can ask Megan, we can get you a tax thing, like credit for it for your taxes even.
Okay, yeah, I just don't want it to go to waste.
It'll be used.
Thank you. Okay. So this is kind of going back to that potty box and making sure that you have all of those things that are going to help your child to relax and stay calm and comfortable while they're in the bathroom and working on all of these steps. So you want to think about the things that works for your child. This, some of these things might be too exciting. Again, every kiddo is different. So sometimes books are the best thing. They just sit, they can read it. It's a calm, you can read with them. It's a calming activity. Other kids don't like books at all, don't want to sit and look at a book or listen to it. So that wouldn't work, for your kid if that's where they're at. But these are just some ideas of some things that we've used in our potty boxes. Books are great. They can be books about their favorite things. They could be books about pottying. They can be whatever works for your child. Squishy fidgets, so like different things that they can play with their hands, squishy, stretchy, whatever works. Glitter bottles and wands that they can turn over and watch, all of it, going from one end to the other. Those colored oil and water bottles. Electronics, sometimes those are a great thing to have in the bathroom. You're not worried about your kid dropping them in the toilet or throwing them in the toilet, because that could happen too. But those are always great. Songs, these apps that we're going to share with you guys, the videos that we're going to share, or just other things that help to keep your kiddo calm, and apps. And then just, thinking about those things that might get them too excited or not allow them to just relax on the toilet, and try to avoid those as much as you can.
I just have to add, because people think I'm weird when I say this, but it's true. So there's actually been like research studies that children have bowel movements while on apps and electronics more frequently than not. And so there was a few of you, I think it was Dana, maybe with a son, Austin, who said that he doesn't have bowel movements on the toilet. You might think about incorporating some kind of iPad or technology or tech toy into that, because it may, I know it just like it grabs all their focus and attention, and they're not thinking about like the discomfort and the pressure they need to push down, that type of thing. It may be helpful.
We have another question in the chat, Florian and Jen, if you're ready.
Yep, sure.
Siobhan would like to know if you have any thoughts for little boys who might be ready to stand up and go potty.
Yeah. I don't know, Jen, do you want to talk about that, or do you want me to?
Oh, go ahead.
So some boys actually prefer standing, and I really don't have a problem with that. If you look online, like you can Google like urinal, like preschool or urinal, and you can buy urinals now for home that have a whole water flush system built in. It's a thing. And so some people do that. Some people just have them stand up to the toilet if they reach. The issue is that reaching again. So they have to be tall enough that, their penis is over the seat, so to speak, so that's not going everywhere. But some boys do prefer that, especially if that's what daddy's modeling at home. So it does involve still learning to sit for the bowel movements. But I really don't have a problem with teaching boys standing if that's their preference.
There's some pretty cool ones that I've seen with families that they have suction cups on the back. So it's a urinal that just suctions to whatever you need it to. So you can make it the right height, make it, and it's fun. It's like this weird monster kind of thing looking, but kids love it. All right, visuals. Florian, I think this one's you.
Yeah. So visuals, I want to really talk about visuals because many of you, when we were introducing, talked about communication. So I don't know all of you. I know some of you. I don't know where your children are developmentally. I don't know if they recognize pictures even. So what I want to start off by saying is being able to recognize that a picture represents something is going to be a prerequisite, if you will. You can show like on the very the left, I guess it's the left bottom, there's like first then, and it has a potty picture and then some handprints for probably paint or something. But you can show your child the potty picture when you take them. and hopefully they will learn that that's what that represents. If it's a diaper change that you're doing, then I would take a picture of a diaper, right? And instead of the toilet, because if you're changing a diaper, why show them a toilet? You want to show them a diaper. So you can take photos and laminate them. You can use clear contact paper. EC Cares, we make these by thousands, like we use them all the time. But if your child does understand that pictures represent something, it opens up your options in terms of getting visual supports. And what I wanted to let you know is, we have something called projects at EC Cares. And so we can make for you any of these visuals that you want. And your teacher or service provider, whoever your contact person is, can bring these to you. So you can write in the chat your child's name. I need a first name and maybe first initial. And if you know, like someone said Ria or someone said Megan, like if you know who the teacher or contact person is, put their name and just tell us what you want. But we can make visuals that show, like, this is a boy sitting on a potty. So we have boy sitting on a potty. We have boy standing at a urinal. We have girl sitting on a potty. We have these, what we call potty social stories. So these are I use a potty is a story about going to the bathroom, and there'll be like a yellow stream and a little brown mass that looks like feces. And so like it kind of describes, like, this is me going potty and there's like a prize at the end type of thing. And we have boys and we have girls for these are called social stories, and we can make them for you. And if it's a boy, I need to know if it's standing or sitting for urinating. And then we have all different sizes of these. Like the very bottom one is, I can fit in a back pocket. The one on top doesn't, but we have different sizes, and we can get you. So like first you go potty, and then you get, I'm really being hypothetical, then you get a popsicle, or first you go potty, then you go outside, or first you go potty and then, whatever. Or if you're still on the diaper changing, it's first you change your diaper, or maybe it's first you pull down your pants. Like maybe you're on that step. First you pull down your pants, and then I give you, I don't know, a sticker, whatever you want for that reinforcer. So the then is something reinforcing that you're teaching the first step, and you reinforce it. And that's how we learn, you guys, like for all of us. So I do my job and I get paid. So I work and then I get paid, right? So it's the same concept for kids. So you can order potty pictures, diaper pictures, any kind of picture you want. You just have to write in the chat like what level your child's at and what you want a picture of. And then if you want some pictures of some reinforcing items, write them down too. We also have hand washing. We have a hand washing visual that can go in the bathroom to help them follow it. And what I would tell you is, and I'm saying this without knowing like the majority of you, and I'm making an assumption, and I know making an assumption can be, I can be wrong. So I know that, but I'm going to say that I'm guessing that many of you have children who are visual learners. And so having visuals like this will definitely be helpful to them. And so even if your child doesn't recognize pictures yet, start with a picture of the diapers, then go to the picture of the toilet, like start working on those type of things. If your child does not just know what pictures represent, like if you look at a book, any kind of book, and they can't point to the tree yet or the wagon yet, those kind of things, ask your service coordinator about something called PECS. It's Picture Exchange Communication System. And it does teach children how to discriminate pictures, like to realize that this picture means this item and this picture doesn't mean that item. And so, and we teach it by giving them reinforcing things, whether it be like snacks or toys that they like, that type of thing. But if your child's not communicating, visuals are going to be huge. Jen, are there any visuals? I didn't mention?
We had talked about the calendar for one. I did want to also just mention that at least in the EEP classrooms, you're going to see that these are used in all of them. You know, these are things that are in our bathrooms at all of the classrooms. I would say they're using first bends. You know, those strips are there, the hand washing strips. So these are potentially familiar with your, you know, for your child also, because they've seen them at school. And then, yeah, we had talked about calendars. Lorraine, I'm not sure if you wanted to mention that.
Sure. Thank you, Jen, for mentioning that they're used at EEPs. I want to just share, if you have a child who goes to an EC Cares classroom, like a parent toddler classroom, or like say our early learners or explorers, like any of our classrooms, we also use all of these, like all of our classrooms, even like the Head Starts we consult at, like a lot of the classrooms that we consult at use these as well. So these are universally used and your child is being exposed to them if they're going to a classroom with us. I'm gonna mention something to Sova, and then I'll go back and talk about the calendar about Sova. So Allie, you wrote, I saw in the chat that you said that she's able to follow the top visual at home, that you have something like that. So she would then be able to, if she's able to follow, if your child can follow a sequence like that, then I would put in the chat that you would like some first thens and some potty icons or like a social story, that kind of thing, because that'll be helpful. So going back to the calendar, we didn't have a picture of the calendar, and that's my fault. I apologize. But a calendar, I don't know if anyone mentioned their child's situation that would lead me to think a calendar may be helpful, but I'll mention it. A calendar could be helpful for a child where you've been using diapers, you're switching to underwear, and they are already urinating in the toilet, but they just haven't transitioned, like during the day, not at night, but they haven't transitioned from the diaper to the underwear. And so in that situation, we would have a blank calendar, and it would have pictures of like a diaper, like for a week or two, and then we'd have pictures like little icons of underwear, like whatever the underwear might look like for the next few weeks of that month. And then the child would take them off each day. So they would know that at some point, like they're going to stop using the diaper and go to underwear. It just helps give them a time reference as to when they're giving up the diaper. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's how that works. So I just want to make a note that I didn't see anyone type in that they want any visuals. And I just want you to know that you should, like, if you feel like you want something, this is like, you need to write it in there. Otherwise, I won't know to get it to you. Jen and I won't know. So if you do want something, put it in there. Okay, next slide, Jen.
All right, so now we're getting to the fun apps that have a lot of great, the kids love them. I mean, who doesn't love Sesame Street? I'm gonna just pop through unless, do you want to mention anything specific about?
No, go ahead. These are great though. The kids love apps, so go through them.
Love them. This one's fun, just like every other Sesame Street. Daniel Tiger has one, so if your kiddo's a Daniel Tiger fan, this is a great one. This one is Potty. It's another fun one. We've used this at school, and kids really like this one. And then this is a great one. It's Potty. It's similar to like the social story that Florine was just sharing. Very really good step by step. And you can even put a photo in. You can like edit it, make it kind of your own, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, Jen, I'm going to interrupt you. Sierra, you might need to mute.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's okay. No worries. No judgments. Remember, no judgments. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. So this one's really a little bit more in depth, but it's a nice one to use. Kids really like to see all of those steps and watch it and see themselves. Okay, and then I also, we added some YouTube videos, and these are all around potty training. So like there's a baby shark potty song, and super simple songs, which is a great one that we use in the classrooms a lot. But this one's all about sitting on the potty. There's Princess Polly, Little Baby Bum, Coco Melon, and a ton more. Those are just some that we suggested. But there's so many if you just get on YouTube and Google, potty song or potty training or whatever it is. And potentially if there's another favorite character, you'll find it. Okay. Florine, this one's yours.
Okay, and sorry, I was just looking at the chat. So Jen, I wrote a few down just in case. But I think we're gonna, just so you all know, because of confidentiality, Jen is hoping, and so is Nellie, our parent coordinator, to print out the chat so we have this information. I just want you to know how we're using it. So we're going to print it out so we know who to get, give what to who, that type of thing, and we will then shred it. So we won't be keeping it or anything like that. So okay, so Jen just said, when we were choosing slides, I said this was the only slide I really felt I had to talk about. I love this slide. So I don't love it because it talks a lot. I love it because this is really the nitty gritty. So we'll send you guys the PowerPoint, right? So we'll get you the PowerPoint. We can probably even, Jen, drag it into the chat, but one of my thoughts is to kind of go over this with you guys in detail and see if you have questions. So there's two basic ways to potty train. Like there really are two basic ways. You might find others like online and that type of thing, but one is routine based. It tends to be what schools use. Like I imagine Jen probably has a time of day that most of the kids go potty. Maybe it's after snack or at arrival, that kind of thing, or before they go home. Parents often do it right before bedtime, or there's certain times that you have it built into your routines. So this here is very common. We do suggest that if you're doing the routine method, that you try to structure from some food and drink before it. So if you know your child's going down for a nap, I'm being hypothetical, at 2, and your routine is that at 1:45 you change their diaper and then you read them a book, then I would be giving them something to drink, and the eat would be salty foods. Like if they weren't thirsty, I'd give them like goldfish crackers or Ritz. Some kids like bacon or sardines, like something salty to make them thirsty. Then they're going to drink the fluid about 1:30. So when you do the potty routine at 1:45, they're thirsty. Does that make sense? So that's what that's referring to here. And with the potty routine, when you're doing it by routine, you take them to the potty usually 15-20 minutes after you give them the beverages so that their bladder's fuller. You also look a lot at their facial expressions. Some kids, like Jen mentioned, might hide behind a couch or go into a closet. Like I have kids do all sorts of things like to hide, to have a bowel movement. So that's routine. What I want to say is that for the majority of you that are here, that probably won't work. You're here because the everyday potty training around routines hasn't worked for you. That's my impression. So I'm going to talk to you about the method on the right, and this is what I would recommend. And even for, like, I'm looking at my notes here from when we did introductions, like even the person who was talking about, it's really about bowel movements now. So I am a big fan, if kids can't talk or don't have the words yet, or perhaps they have a lot of sensory issues and they're not feeling the fullness, right? So kids who might not feel that their bladder or bowel are full, like deep impact. So these are kids that like those big hugs, the squeezes, they might run into couches or into you even for that impact. So they're probably not sensing that their bowel and bladder are full because they need more impact in order to feel it. I don't know if that makes sense. So some of the kids aren't going to be able to recognize, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Like it's time, like my bladder's full or my bowel is full. I need to go to the bathroom because of sensory issues. So we have kids with communication barriers. We have kids with sensory issues, and some kids may have motor issues, like I mentioned. I didn't hear anyone talk about motor issues at the beginning, but perhaps there is someone here with a child with motor issues, and motor issues can impact it. So if you have like a muscular condition or something like cerebral palsy, that's going to impact your ability, right, to contract and relax your muscles. And so that all those things really play into potty training. And then there's, the other area I talk about is like their cognitive level or their intelligibility. Like, do they understand what to do when they have that? Like, do they know that they need to initiate to go, that type of thing. So what I do, so you guys, this is what I want you to leave with, is this page. So I'm going to say that again. This is, to me, really key. What I try to do is, no matter where they are on the potty readiness scale, I don't care if they can't pull down their pants. I don't care if they can't tell me with words. The thing that matters to me is if they can stay dry 45 minutes to an hour, then you can do this method on the right. So it's about staying dry. And what you do is you collect data. I collect data for a week. You don't have to like pull down their pants, change their diaper. I do, I don't know, you probably can't see me. I'm doing the diaper squeeze hand motion with my hand over here at my desk, but you do a diaper squeeze to feel if it's, if it's full, if the diaper's wet and stuff. But I wrote 30 minutes. And you do that about every 30 minutes. Honestly, for some kids, I even do it every 15 minutes. But the idea is that you're going to do it for at least a week. And what you're looking for is a pattern of when they're urinating, or in the case for the child that was like not releasing bowels, when they're having their bowel movements, right? So you're looking for a pattern. We all have patterns. I know every morning when I drink coffee, I'm going to have a bowel movement. I mean, it's just part of my routine, and it's part of my body, how my body works. And so your child should have that too. And I've been doing this for many years, and it's not common, but every once in a while, I'll have a child who doesn't control their bladder, so they're leaking frequently. That's a different situation, and then you should reach out to me or your doctor about that, your child's doctor. But generally, kids do learn to hold it, and they're not leaking out like constantly type of thing. But you want them to be able to hold for about at least 45 minutes to an hour. Then what you do is you look for the patterns. And so you will find that I'm just going to say I checked for 2 weeks. And for 2 weeks, on 8 of the 14 days, they were wet at 2:15 when I checked them. So what I know from looking at that data is that I have a high probability that if I put my child on the toilet at 2:15, that there's going to be a higher probability that they'll urinate on the toilet or defecate if it's for a bowel movement, and that's what I was tracking. And what I want to do, again, about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before that, is make sure they're having lots of fluid so that their bladder is full, so that it increases the probability that they'll urinate on the toilet. Does that make sense to you guys? So you're looking for patterns, and then you don't have to take them all day, every day. Like we have to do it every day, but not all day. Like I have parents who say, I take them every half hour, Florine. And it's just, I imagine that kid's like really mad at you because you're taking them to the bathroom every half hour. Like this isn't fun. And so this also narrows down what time of day you're going to focus on it. So it'll tell you what one time a day, maybe there's 3 times a day. I mean, I don't know your children, but it won't be like every hour, every half hour. It'll be at specific times because you've tracked it. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's your focus. And then whatever level your child's at, if I had a child who wasn't entering the bathroom, then at that time, I'd still be giving them the fluid because I'm kind of building a little route into it. I'm still giving the fluids and everything. I still have my potty box with all my little fidgets and stuff for them to play with. But it may be that they are walking in the bathroom and they're standing there, I'm being hypothetical, for a count of 10, and then they get out, and that's what I'm reinforcing, that was the target for the kid, and he did it, and so I reinforce it, and then I increase the amount of time they're in there. I'm increasing how close I am to the toilet seat. Can I sit on it for a count of 2? Can I sit on it for a count of 10 seconds? I just gradually increase it. So these are very small increments, you guys, and it's really individualized based on your child's abilities and what your child can and can't do. And again, if they can do something, then we don't want to over prompt them. But if they can't, don't let that be a barrier. You can still prompt them through the routine. The idea, though, is to teach them to release on the toilet. It's about releasing on the toilet. That's what it's really about. So I have to tell you, I know this sounds really quirky, but I love looking at data. I love data. And so if anyone actually ends up taking the data and wants me to look at it, you just email me and I will look at your data and help you pick the time and what you should work on with your kid. But this is really probably what's going to be most helpful for most of you. It does say step 3 is to create a timed routine schedule based on the data. You can set alarms and reminders on your phone. On your phone, you can still use apps. You can still use songs and stories and all that other stuff. And you're still providing that 20 minutes prior, you're providing those beverages so it's full. So this is key, this page here. So I just want you to know that. So questions about this? Any questions at all? You can either shout out or type it in the chat. I'm okay with either way.
I have a question. So this is Megan.
Okay.
Are there apps then for the parent? Is that what you're saying? Like a tracker type thing? So as opposed to having a notebook or something?
Yes. Do you mean an app to do the tracking?
Yes. Yeah.
We have a form and we're going to send you the form.
Okay. Okay.
So that's one of the things that we'll show you a slide of the form. Thank you, Jen. That's the form right there. And so this is the form I use. And the reason it says initials is I just want you to know it says initials because we also use this form at preschools. And so, there's multiple staff. But you don't have to have initials. It's really, if you're doing it at home, it's about the time. Are they dry? Are they wet? Are they having a bowel movement? Or did they do anything on the potty? And so we'll send you that. And I'm going to do a side question real quick to Nellie. Hey, is Nellie?
Yes.
Yeah, Nellie. So my question to you is, do you know if everyone, so you have emails for everyone, right? That's what I thought. Or are there people you don't have emails for because you didn't recognize their name?
It's possible there are folks who I haven't emailed with. I sent this out to 25 people, I think.
Okay.
So if you emailed me to register for this, I have it saved in a document. But if not, if folks got the link late in the game, which we love, by the way,
there's no worry about it.
Yeah, we definitely want you to come regardless. But there is a chance where if you didn't email with me or if you didn't get an email from me with the link for tonight, I probably don't have it.
So what you can do if you're that person, so Jen, I'm just gonna pick on you. So say Jen didn't register, she just had so I actually sent some of my family's links and I didn't necessarily have them register, so they could be my family's.
Okay.
But that said, so I'm going to use Jen just as an example. So if I had sent it to Jen and she didn't ever email with you, Nellie, what Jen could do is in the chat, if you open up the chat, you guys, you can either write it in the chat, but everyone will see it, or you can go to either Florine Derlew, Jen Laughlin, or Nellie, is it Huggins? Am I saying that right? Nellie Huggins, and just say that's who it's to, and it'll either just go just to Nellie or to myself or to Jen, and no one else will see your email address. So, but this is, again, we're not going to keep things and it's confidential, so.
All right.
Meg, Nellie, did you get the one for, oh gosh, okay, I want to try this. Olator, how do you pronounce this? Sorry, is it Olatoria?
Lola Torreira, you were close. Thank you.
Wow, that's very cool name. What nationality is that?
We're Nigerian.
Oh, I love the name. I like unique names, so thank you.
I did. I got a couple privately, and then I got that one as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Jen, you're on. And any other questions about that system that I talked about? You'll get the potty tracking form. You'll get the PowerPoint. We're going to send you the whole PowerPoint, so you have the links to the apps and everything.
Florian, I do see a question here from someone. Their 3-year-old grandson is growth restricted. I can't read my message. Oh,
The 3-year-old grandson is what? I'm
the
sorry.
size of an 18-month-old. So which potty seat would you suggest?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question. I apologize.
Their child's size is the size of an 18-month-old, and they're wondering which potty seat you would suggest.
Oh, got it. Okay, so a shorter body, perhaps. So then you might get more of a portable one as opposed to for the toilet seat, because that's gonna. I think I don't know your grandchild, but I'm envisioning them that even the ones that fit onto the toilet seat, I think will be too big. I think so. That's why I would get one for the floor, like a mobile one. Did that answer the question?
I don't see anything else in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to incentives and how to use them. Do they work? I think, Florian, this one is actually you.
Oh, is it? Did I talk through yours? That's okay. I don't. Okay, that's okay. So yeah, you guys, so teachers get tired of me saying this, but incentives work really great. They don't get tired of it, but it's I like 5-to-1 ratio. So what that means to me is, like, if you're potty training and you're working on your child sitting on the potty seat, like say, like they go in the bathroom, they pull their pants down, but they refuse to sit on the potty seat. So you might not get them to sit for 5 minutes. You might need to get them to sit for a count of 3. And then again, reinforce. You really want to reinforce whatever step you're teaching, and you want a high rate of reinforcement. And if they don't do it, what you expected, I don't give them negative feedback about it, because really what I want to give them attention for is what they're doing well and what they're doing right. So if you have a target of your child sitting for 10 seconds on the potty and they don't make it that day, you try it. You just have a neutral affect and take them off and just go on, and like, don't cause stress about it, because you don't want it to become I shouldn't say a bad situation, but you don't want the child to get bad feelings about it or to get stressed about it. So just stay neutral, let it roll off your shoulders, and try again later at the next time. But reinforcement is key, you guys. You have to teach replay when you have behaviors like avoiding to sit on a toilet or not entering a bathroom or not releasing a bowel movement. You have to reinforce, you have to teach it and reinforce it so that they learn what the expectation is. I don't know, that's just my thought. Anything, Jen, that you can think of, like incentives, like you can reinforce with all kinds of things. What do you use, Jen, at school?
Lots of times it's just the praise, it's the high fives, They're getting handshakes, making it fun and telling them what a great job they've done. It might be a toy, a small thing that comes out of my apron that they get to play with, that it's kind of a surprise after they've gone. Some of our kiddos are on more of like a stickers, maybe a schedule with like stamps or stickers. So after they go potty, they get a stamp or a sticker, if they've been successful there. So lots of different ways of doing it. And, we use first then often. So it's first we do this and then that. But there's some kids that are able to do the entire routine, on their own. And then there's other kids that you have to reinforce at each step or at multiple steps throughout the routine. So again, it varies.
Thank you, Jen. And I want to point out the potty chart. It says I can do it potty chart and has these stars and these other white Velcro spots. I just have to tell you, I'm looking at this going, boy, Florine, that's not really a great example of what you would do. So I don't want you to do what that's doing in the sense that it looks to me like the child has to earn so many stars in order to earn something. I'm telling you differently. I'm suggesting to you, my suggestion to you is to reinforce the small steps, that waiting, like to have to be able to do, like if you're wanting them to sit on the potty, I'm going to stick with the 10 seconds. You're wanting them to sit on the potty for 10 seconds. If you did it 4 times a day, what if they didn't sit on the potty all 4 times? Does that mean they get no reinforcement? And that's not going to be enough, you guys. So you're going to need to reinforce more immediately for whatever your target is, reinforce it. Or if they don't do it, you just have a neutral response. There's no like negative feedback or punishment or anything. You just let it roll off and try again later. But sometimes parents will show me like they earned 30 stars because they peed on the potty and it took them all week. And now they earned, like to watch a show on TV. And our little kids, when they're 3 and 4, they are not, or 2, like they are not remembering what they did on Monday. Like, it's not going to have that cause and effect. So don't have them wait till the end of the day or to the end of the week as they get more skilled. Sure. Like if they're peeing in the potty and doing it regularly and stay dry all week and that's your target, then that's different. But that's not what I was hearing at the beginning when people were doing introductions. You got to reinforce more frequently.
Okay, so sorry, let me move this out of my way.
Okay.
So this is kind of going back to somebody who mentioned that their child is peeing on the toilet, but not pooping. So working out those kinks, we also talked about boys often learn to potty train while sitting, and then you teach the standing later. Florine had mentioned something about constipation earlier. It didn't sound like that was an issue, but sometimes that can cause challenges. It sounds kind of gross, but one thing that can be helpful is to make that connection. When those poopy diapers come off, you dump it into the toilet and the kid can see it happening so they can start to make the connection. Accidents happen, it's just the game. They happen and you just want to get through it and not cause any stress around it, because that's going to add to that stress of the potty training. And then have them participate in some of the cleaning of themselves, wiping, using those wipes or toilet paper to kind of work on those things. Note when they're consistently having those bowel movements. So like Florine had mentioned, the potty tracking form can be helpful with that, so that you're starting to try to catch that before it happens if you can. It's not always easy, but if you can start tracking them a little bit, you'll have better luck with that. And then if they're insisting on pooping in the diaper, try to get them into the bathroom. At least they're in the bathroom, sitting near the toilet, on the toilet with a diaper on maybe. Florine I've heard this one from her many times, that, and I've heard from families that it's been successful. They cut a hole in the diaper once they started to get that routine, and the child was able to do it. Just knowing that the diaper was on them They had that sense of security and comfort, and, you know, having the hole was okay. It worked, and they were able to go in the toilet. So lots of, I think, tips that you wouldn't really necessarily think of, but Florine has thought of them and they've worked.
So I just have to add, the cutting the hole in the diaper, you guys, like, it's really interesting. People don't usually try it until like they're desperate, but it really does work. So they're sitting on the toilet first they're coming into the bathroom to have the bowel movement. Then they're sitting on the toilet in the diaper, a pull-up, to have the bowel movement. And then you're cutting a hole in the diaper ahead of time. And you have to kind of figure, like, it takes some playing around to make sure you have the right location of the hole. But then they're sitting on the toilet, having the bowel movement into the toilet through the hole, and they don't realize it at first, but then they do it does become an awareness that they are doing that. But it can actually be helpful. And honestly, like, if you look at literature regarding having bowel movements on the toilet, it's probably one of the more frequent suggestions that they make. The thing that I do have a concern about, and nobody really mentioned this today, but a lot of the children who have potty issues get problems with constipation or diarrhea. And it's very, very common, actually. And so when we're withholding the bowels, is I really worry about constipation issues with that. And so we are going to talk about constipation in a minute, but you don't want to get into that. It's an awful cycle of constipation if they're withholding bowel movements. Perhaps your child isn't, and that's good. I mean, that's a plus, but often that's what happens.
Oh, and this is just continuing, working out those kinks. The toilet flushing can be very, very stressful, especially with those kids with sensory differences that don't like the loud noises. You know, sometimes that can be something that just makes the kid fearful of the bathroom itself, just the loud noises. Those automatic toilet flushers that we have now are even worse. We see those in the schools these days or in communities, and they can be very terrifying. So those might be, you know, great times to start working on washing hands and then flushing on your way out versus flushing them, you know, automatically after you've gone to the bathroom, or trying to, I've had families that have put like a sticky note in front of the community bathrooms that automatically flush so that they can kind of keep it from flushing while your child's going on it, things like that. And then also noise canceling headphones or noise reducing headphones can be really helpful in the bathrooms for a lot of kids that are sensitive to the sound and the noise.
Can I add something about noise, although it's not toilet flushing? Is that okay? So the other thing besides toilet flushing are fans. Like, fans in bathroom can really bother some kids, and even like smells and stuff like that. So just be aware that bathrooms are like highly oversensory, and so just be aware of that with your kiddos.
Yeah, definitely. And just the echoing that occurs in them. Other people walking into community bathrooms can be tricky. All right.
Oh, it's my turn. So my big thing about underwear, the main thing is, so here's the deal. If you have a child and you've gotten them to, you've gone into the bathroom, you've done all those steps, you know, that you need to, and they are urinating in the toilet. So at some point you need to switch from diapers to underwear. And a lot of kids don't like wet underwear. So that can be a plus for going to the bathroom, for initiating. What I often recommend are to get those liners. They still sell them. They're plastic liners. You can get them like at Target, Walmart, like online. But they have liners that go over. And some parents even put diapers over the underwear so the child can still feel the wetness, but it's contained, particularly like if they're going in a car or a bus. So they'll put the diaper on over the underwear. It's really better in the summer, like spring and summer when we're wearing less clothes, to try to switch out into the underwear. And sometimes I hear about kids in classrooms that, are dry every time they take them. And I'm like, well, then, really we should be going into underwear. Like if they're staying dry for an hour or two, like go to try underwear. It can be messy in your house. It really, it can be messy. Some parents get like plastic for their couches and things like that. But really summer's the best time. And I would also say, like, again, trying to keep it stress-free. Maybe you want to wait till the weather's nicer and you want to just do the underwear when they're playing outside first, so that you don't have all the mess in the house. I mean, just give yourself some grace and some patience, and know that it's okay you don't have to do it all or nothing. You really don't. So, take it, don't get stressed out about the underwear, but also don't forget about the underwear. I do want to tell you one other thing. Diapers, like the manufactured diapers and pull-ups, they absorb, right? They are built to absorb. They absorb well. So part of the issue for children not initiating, is their diapers and pull-ups are absorbing so well that they don't feel it, you guys. So I really encourage you to think about putting underwear on, or using cloth diapers or underwear under the diaper if you're wanting them to feel it. But those the disposable diapers and pull-ups, particularly pull-ups, they're worse than diapers. They absorb, and your kid just doesn't feel it.
Yeah, and the the underwear under the diapers, it's helping them to feel the wetness of the underwear. It's helping to kind of bridge that anxiety also of, like, we have to be all done with diapers can be scary. So you have underwear and then diapers on top. They still have that security, and it helps with the mess. You don't have a disaster all over your house. A lot of families like to start with that. Okay. Oh, we talked a little bit already.
Yeah, we did. We did talk about this
jumped
already.
forward here.
That's okay.
But just about using bathrooms in the community and how they're scary, and so really working on it at home is going to be important. And then once you get success in the home, success at school, then you can start working on out in the community.
Okay, so we're on to resources. I did want to make one point real quick before, because we've got about 8 minutes. But with the potty icons, I would encourage you guys to think about those little potty icons and requesting them, because for initiating, what we do in some classrooms is they post them around the room. So if kids who can't verbalize it need to initiate, they can go and take that icon and give it to a teacher to go. And they'll do that in kindergarten also. They'll have like potty icons in classrooms that kids can go and take it to go to tell the teacher they have to use the bathroom. So that is something that you could do. So I wanted to just tell you about these resources. And this one, the first one is a book, and it comes in 2 different colors. One's a first edition, one's a second edition. One's blue, one's yellow. You guys, we have these at EC Cares. You can get them from your service coordinator teacher. We loan them out to parents. In case you don't know, that we have a book lending library as well as a toy lending library. So we do have books on potty training. But this one here by Maria Wheeler is phenomenal. It does go over everything we talked about today. It does also have like tracking forms, but the best part is they have a whole section in the back, like a whole chapter on problems associated with potty training. And it doesn't matter if your child has autism or a developmental issue, if it's just speech issues, like if they're not flushing, or if they're urinating outside of the toilet, or if they don't know how to wipe, or they don't know how to have a BM in the toilet. Like, they have just 1 or 2 pages with really great suggestions. I just love that one. And I see, folding potty boys and girls. Oh, that sounds really good. Thanks, Nayeli's mom. But so that book is excellent and I would recommend it. And I want to say it's like $19.99. It's not that expensive. I call it, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, I call it the Potty Training Bible because it's so family friendly. It's very resourceful and has tons of really good ideas. It's just great. And then Jen, can you click on these other two so I can show them what they are?
Yeah.
So you will see on these next two that they actually say the word autism. No one here told me they had a kid with autism, and that's okay. But I want to tell you that the autism community has probably some of the best resources available to parents. So these two guides come from Autism Speaks, and Autism Speaks has a drop down of toolkits that they call them toolkits for parents. They have about 50 of them. And they have one on potty training and they have one on constipation that relates to this topic. And they're really, really good. They're very thorough. You can scroll through a little bit more. They talk about all different like strategies. And they just give you all kinds of ideas. It's really good. So I would suggest, even if you don't have a child who may be on the autism spectrum, that you get these. They're free. You just go to Autism Speaks. You'll get the link because we included it. And you get the link, you open it up, and then you sign up, and then they send you a PDF of it right away. Go to the one, Jen, about constipation, if you don't mind. I'm saying that because constipation is an issue for a lot of our kids. You guys, this is the best thing going. Like, it's not just, again, related to autism. You can have any kind of delay, but pause right there, Jen. Like, they talk about like, why is the child constipated? They have definitions of like impaction versus and capricious. How do you treat it? And they give you suggestions for increasing fiber, for increasing fluids, bowel habit training. That'll be helpful probably for the family that had the 5-year-old who was withholding the BMs. That might be helpful, page 7 to 10 for them. But it's really good. Could you scroll down, Jen? Because I don't know that people know how good this is. Like, they talk about why some of these things are happening, but then they give you suggestions. It's a really phenomenal, like, you're not going to find this anywhere else. And it's written by medical professionals and like, they're medical professionals who are parents of kids who have autism. But it's quite good. And I really particularly like their parts on like fiber and increasing fluids. I think you have to keep scrolling down to get to those. Like, they tell you about what kind of fiber is needed. Yeah, keep going, Jen. Sorry. Yeah, so like, they have all this information on how much fiber and your child should be getting for your age, and talk about how much are in different types of foods. It's just really, really helpful. I don't want to overdo it, but I just want you to know, like, Autism Speaks is great for this kind of stuff. It's one of the things that they do well. And you can go ahead and stop, Jen.
All right.
So before we go off, I just want to tell you a little bit about that more. We can get rid of the PowerPoint and just have the names come up. That'd be fine, because I think we're done, right? Are we done?
Let's see.
Oh, our email addresses, put that up. Oh, free diapers. Do the free diapers real quick, Jen. Go ahead.
This is a great resource. You can get free diapers and wipes. If your child, well, everybody here would be able to. If you have OHP, it's free. If you have private insurance, you'd have to check with them. But all it requires is you checking in with the doctor and asking for a prescription. And they will get you one, and you can start getting free diapers and wipes, which would be very helpful.
You do have to be, the child has to be 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and it says developmental delay. So like, many children here probably have developmental delay as their eligibility, but 3, it's amazing. Brittany, thank you for sharing. It's really, you can get wipes, you can get diapers, you can get changing pads and gloves. You just have to ask for them. And the changing pads are more like Chucks, like they're pretty big.
All right, and then, yes, our contacts at the end of the PowerPoint. So both Florine and my emails and phone numbers.
Any